Y'all know what's going on. It's time for another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker. Welcome to the show, y'all. And check this out, y'all. I'm going to pick this story up. I was telling a story about this guy named Kendrick yesterday, right? How his daughter uh, had a baby by a rapist. And she hid that for a while from her fiance. And, she couldn't live with it anymore. And she finally snuck and got a test and found out that the guy that she had this one night stand with uh, had gotten her pregnant. So she told her fiance about it. And he at first he wanted to try, but he couldn't deal with it. He couldn't deal with it. So he ended up leaving her, So tell me what you think about that too, y'all, in my comment section. Hit me up about that. But anyway, this guy that's the rapist, he has been charged and convicted of statutory rape of a 16-year-old girl that he had tricked with this same story of being a music producer while she was at college visiting her sister. And they got caught having sex in the back of his car. They called the police. The police came and they arrested him, so on and so forth, right? But here's the thing. While he's in prison, and he's in the same state, and this is going to be interesting too, he's in the same state that Kendrick is in. Okay, but while he's in prison, he reaches out to Kendrick's daughter, excuse me, and he wants to see his daughter. Now, let me explain something to you. A lot of dudes like that. I know a lot of dudes like that. And he's really not interested in seeing his daughter. He's really not interested in seeing his daughter. He really is trying to establish a relationship with some female from the town. And she happens to be one that he has, in his mind, leverage over because she has his daughter. And him having visits, listen to this because this is important. And this is not in all cases, but in some that I know. And him having visits or getting visits with Kendrick's daughter, the woman that he has a child with, will in a lot of ways legitimize the stories that he's starting to circulate in the prison that he didn't know that she was 16. She looked like a grown woman. All of these things that a lot of guys use to avoid accepting responsibility. Now, if he can get Kendrick's daughter to come visit him and bring his daughter to see him, then it will legitimize him. It will legitimize his stories. I can't be a rapist. I got a child. This woman here that loves me. Now, keep in mind, the people in prison would probably never hear about the relationship and how it came about with the rapist guy and the woman that would come visit him. So they get to manipulate the story and tell it how they want to tell it. You see what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, what would happen in a situation like that is that this person will be legitimized by the story that they tell, and then they wouldn't have to worry so much about being beat up. So here's the situation. When he wrote her, she panicked. She freaked out and she told her father about it. And her father, he also panicked because he thought about his granddaughter. He didn't want his granddaughter to be around somebody like that. And he didn't want people to know that his daughter had a baby by a rapist. Now, that wasn't as important to him as the fact that he didn't want his granddaughter around, but that was something that he acknowledged when he talked to me about that. His heart was grieving. It was heavy about this situation. So Kendrick started to try to figure out where this dude was at. And he went to work. He knew a lot of people. In the penitentiary, the first thing you need to find out is the person affiliated. Because if the person is affiliated, it's easier to get in touch if you know the people that are running things. You can go talk to them, and then because they always are communicating with their brothers at other compounds. So he looked into that and didn't find anything out. So as far as he knew, the guy wasn't affiliated. So it was going to make it harder for him to figure out, how to reach out to this person. because now he's writing letters back to back, and his daughter made a fatal mistake. She responded to one of the letters and she told him, look, do not write me anymore. I am not going to allow you to see my daughter, and I'm going to the DA with it. Now, this freaked him out. But see, he got angry as opposed to smart. And he wrote her back and he told her, I have a right to see my child, this and that. So Kendrick's daughter listened to what Kendrick said and she called the DA and she talked to the DA. And the DA said, look, what I can do is block him. We have to go to court, but we can block him from seeing his daughter because he's he raped a minor. So we can go to court and stop that. But I would need you to come to court and tell what happened. And she didn't want to do that. She was so embarrassed by the situation. When she told her father was like, you should do it. But she just couldn't get herself to do it. So her father, being supportive, said, okay, I'm going to take care of it. I'm going to see if I can take care of it. So now he's reaching out and he locates this guy. And he finds out that this guy is at one of the toughest prisons in the state. Now, Kendrick is not affiliated either, but he knows a lot of people. And he reaches out to some of the people that he's known for years throughout the system that are affiliated, hard hitters. And once he gets in touch with them, they write him back and they're like, what's going on? What's the issue? So he writes them and he tells them the whole story. He pours his heart out. And keep in mind, gang members, man, they're human too. A lot of y'all out there might not want to understand and believe that, but they are. So when they wrote him back, they said, man, I understand, man, but that's not the family business. You feel what I'm saying? Now, we can get somebody else to take care of it, but, if you want the family to take care of it, I got to get other people to agree with that. That's what he was trying to explain to him. All right? So Kendrick was willing to pay. He was willing to pay. But see, this is how it works in the fam. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to business like that. Now, if you can put your foot down and avoid smacking somebody upside the head. Now, you got some brothers that like to do the smacking. But for the most part, the heads like to keep trouble down because you got all kind of other business going on. So if you can avoid that, still get paid for it and avoid smacking somebody because that leads to other things, dominoes start to fall, then they'll do that. So they go put some pressure on this dude. Say, look here, man. My family reached out to me. Now, they always say my family because they want the individual to know this is blood, right? Which it ain't, but they want them to think that. My family reached out to me and said, you trying to holler at my fam about visitation. You're not getting visitation. You keep stirring the pot. We're going to make an issue out of this. You understand? Now, dude wasn't too keen on reading the room. He wasn't too keen on reading the room, so he was like, that's my daughter. So he made this on the spot in front of the gang members. He made this story seem like he's being treated wrong and this, that, and the third. You know what I'm saying? So now they're looking at it like pausing. Man, I don't want to get involved in this. This is a family matter. You feel what I'm saying? So they back up and they write Kendrick back and say, look, man, dude's saying this, dude's saying that. And gang members that ain't got nothing, they don't want to get too invested in stuff like that. They don't want to get too invested, even if they're getting paid, they don't want to get too invested in stuff like that. But you always got those brothers that hate people with those particular type of charges. You always got them. And that's what the fam had. There was a couple of brothers, they didn't care. They wanted to beat him. They wanted to beat him. So brother was like, look, anybody want to take care of this on their own, y'all can take the money what Kendrick willing to pay, and then y'all go do what you do, right? So they wrote Kendrick back and said, man, look here, man. Send that money to such and such. I'm going to take care of that. So Kendrick sent the money. Man, look here. Within 72 hours, they beat the brakes off this dude. I'm talking about crushed him. Sent him to the back. And the back is check-in, right? They sent him to the back. But it didn't stop him from writing those letters. Now he's continuing to write those letters. And Kendrick is getting frustrated with this because his daughter is stressing and his granddaughter one day is going to ask the question, where's my daddy? What do you tell her? He's thinking about all of these things. This is not going to go away. This is not going to go away just by beating somebody up. Because this dude doesn't have forever. He's going to get out one day. And he tells his daughter, you are going to have to go down to the DA's office and you're going to have to get this man's parental rights stripped away. Stripped away. And you're going to have to tell the truth about what happened. This is the only way to do this, where you will be able to prevent him from visiting with his daughter, period. So it took a while, but after a while, she finally went down to the DA's office. She sat there and she told them what happened. So now they filed some papers on her behalf, and now they're going to court about the parental rights. And because it was a civil matter, they didn't bring the dude to court. They had him on the phone while they were in court, and the judge and everybody was talking to him, and they were telling him that he would not be able to visit with his daughter under any circumstances, as long as he was under, there's a sex offender registry, and he would never be able to come off the sex offender registry. So in essence, he would never be able to see his daughter. So in the course of the conversation, now he's stressing. Now don't get it twisted. People in prison just don't read the room well either. You know what I'm saying? And even if you're on the phone, so he's stressing. He's like, y'all can't stop me from seeing my child. And the DA and the people in the room, they understood what that meant. Legally, they could. But if this man decided that he wanted to get out and come by that house or whatever, they would have to deal with that like that. And they told her, look, his parental rights have been stripped, but we're going to put a protective order against him the day that he walks out of prison, so he cannot come near you or your daughter. But this is not going to go away. Simple as that. And if he does come around, we're going to deal with it. But a protective order, man, look, y'all know what that is out there. A protective order really don't have no juice. You know what I'm saying? Dudes, a protective order works with people that obey the rules. A protective order doesn't work with somebody that don't obey the rules. You tell them not to do it, they're going to do it anyway. Catch me if you can. A lot of dudes in here like that. So check this out. This fool gets out of the penitentiary one day, right? Let him out. Now he's got the bracelet on. He's supposed to be around the kids. He's supposed to be doing all this and that and working and all this and that and that and this and that and this. And now he locates Kendrick's daughter. And she thinks that she sees him. She actually did, but she wasn't sure. She told her father, look, I think I seen it. I think I seen him sitting outside the school. So her father said, call the police. And Kendrick is panicking because think about that. He's in prison. He's got a life sentence. He cannot be out there to help his daughter and his granddaughter. And his granddaughter has no clue as to what's going on. So Kendrick steps it up a little bit. He steps it up. He said, look, I got to do something. I have to do something to stop him from seeing my granddaughter. He's telling his seller this, right? And his seller said, look, man, get rid of that fool. And Kendrick said, I can't do that. If I do that, I'm never getting out. I'm never getting out. So he said, I got to figure out something. Man. So unbeknownst to Kendrick, his seller, they've been sellers for a long, long time. And his seller sees Kendrick as a brother. But he knows Kendrick's not cut like that. He knows he's not cut like that. So his seller makes arrangements to have dude taken care of. Now, he don't want him killed either. You know what I'm saying? Because he understands, people in the penitentiary talk all that rah-rah stuff, and people in the streets talk all that rah-rah stuff. But when them police put you in that room, they put that light on you, and it's shining down on you, they get to talking crazy, talking about they're going to lock you away, this and that. You get to start telling who told you to do this and who told you to do that. So he don't want to catch a facilitation charge. But he's deep into the street, so he tell his partner, he said, look, man, I need somebody to beat this dude. I'm talking about beat this dude. Beat him Take him out in the woods somewhere and beat him. Don't say a word as to why you're beating him. Just take him out in the woods and beat him. He's going to know why he's being beaten. So after a few weeks or something trying to track him down, they finally locate him, right? Because Kendrick Seller's trying to get information on him without letting Kendrick know what he's doing. Because he messed with Kendrick, but look here. He ain't finna be playing no games about that. He's a real penitentiary dude. When he gets ready to do something, he keeps it on the low, low, low. So he gets everybody to find out what dude that, so they snatch him up. Listen to me now. They snatched him up. They got him. They got him in the trunk. They take him out into the woods. Now, they live in this rural area. You know what I'm saying? On the outskirts. You feel what I'm saying? They got him out there. They got him out there. They get him out the car. He tied up. Start beating on him. They don't say a word. He's begging them, please, what did I do to you? Do I know you? I don't know you. And he's apologizing for what he don't even understand that's going on. He said, I'm sorry if I did anything to you, anything to anybody in your family. I'm sorry. They never said a word. They masked up, though. They masked up. They just beating him and beating him and beating. And one thing about when you're beating somebody like that, you never know when you're going to hit them too many times or too hard. You never know. So they kept beating him. Now he passes out. One of the dudes threw some water on him. He had a bottle of water, right? He poured the water on. Dude, wake up. So now they're whispering, is that enough? You think he's had enough? You think it's enough? And then one of the dudes kicked him, knocked him back out. Yeah, now it's enough. They untie him so when he wakes up, he can leave and get back to town on his own. So they leave. They get on down. They let Kendrick Selly know that, look, it's taken care of, man. They get their little bread. They roll on. Now, guess what happened with this dude? This dude go to the police. He say that Kendrick had somebody beat him. Now they can't just ignore that, so they investigate. They go out to the prison, they talking to him. He said, I don't know what's going on, this and that. And he tells, the rapist dude told him all kinds of crazy stories, you know what I'm saying, that what he did, this and that. And he's trying to use that as leverage. He's trying to use that as leverage against Kendrick's daughter. You let me see my child, and I won't pursue this. Now, they haven't charged Kendrick yet, but he's talked to his daughter about it, and his daughter is feeling bad because she thinks her daddy did it, but her daddy didn't do it. Her daddy didn't do it. So she said, let me think about it. She said, let me think about it. And she's really giving some consideration to allowing her daughter to see this dude because she don't want to see her father. She believes her father has done this on her behalf and on her granddaughter's behalf. And her father tells her on the phone, don't do that. I'm not worried about if they charge me, I'll beat it. If I don't beat it, it don't matter. But you don't agree to that. You don't agree to that. Now, she tells the DA what's going on because the DA is aware of what's going on. Now, it's two different counties, but the DA has been made aware of what's going on, right? So the DA tells his, look, will you wear a wire? Now, she don't really want to do that because, you know why. She don't want to do that. She don't want to look at it like that. But so she talks to her daddy, Kendrick, and Kendrick said, you gotta put the wire on and get him on tape like the DA wants. Wire up the phone, everything. So they get in a conversation and she says, let me meet you first. She got the wire on. The police are sitting out. They listening. They sitting in a little place where they can, see. So they're watching from a distance. And they're hearing this dude talking to Kendrick's daughter about, why you making this so difficult? All I want to do is see my daughter. I know your daddy had this done to me. And she's saying, no, my daddy had nothing to do with it. And then he says, I don't care if he did or didn't. That's what I'm saying to them. And she said, so you didn't even see who did it? No, I did not. He's saying all of these things. And so my dad, these dudes didn't say my dad's name or nothing. He said, no, they didn't. Because that's what he had told the police, that they had said Kendrick's name. That's the only reason they went to him. He told them, leave Kendrick's daughter alone. He never said, those guys never said that. They never said that. So now they're getting all of this on tape. And they're listening. She's getting angry while she's sitting there. You know what I'm saying? And she calls him a piece of crap and all this and that. But she's going off on him because she knows now. She sees this dude for who he is. Now, he's much old. This man is in his 40s, y'all. He's in his 40s. Pitiful. And he's trying to continue to manipulate his way into people's lives like that. Now, he's got her all riled up and upset because she thinks that her father is being falsely accused now because she thought he had done it. So these guys had nothing to do with her father, but she knows her father must have had something to do with it. She doesn't have a clue, but at this point, she don't care. She leaves. They get the tape. The police bump down on him. They arrest him, filing a false police report. You know what I'm saying? They lock him up. They lock him back up. Now, while he's in jail, he ends up in a fight with some dudes in the county that don't know Kendrick, don't know nothing about him, but they know he's a rapist because it's hard in here for rapists. They whoop him bad, send him to intensive care. He don't make it. Now, when word gets to Kendrick's daughter, she breaks down and she starts to cry. She didn't cry for him. It was a cry of relief. Now, she's not a bad person at all. But she got caught up in a bad situation because she made a decision in a moment of anger that produced a child that she loved dearly, but also made her life a living hell because this dude was relentless in trying to see this child. So when she was talking to her father and telling her father what had happened, because the DA had let her know what happened, when she was telling her father what happened, her father was silent on the phone. What do you say? He wasn't happy that another life had been lost to this world in that violent way, but he was happy that his daughter wouldn't have to deal with that anymore. What do you say? And he said like a father, he said, everything's going to be all right now. Everything's going to be all right. Because he didn't want to rejoice in another man dying. But he did want to rejoice in the fact that his granddaughter would grow up in peace. That his daughter would be able to live her life in peace and move on. So let me say this to y'all. See, a lot of people out there don't believe that you're held accountable for the decisions that you make if you don't get caught, if you don't go to jail, if you don't go to prison, stuff like that, right? But I've come to learn that that's not true. Accountability is not just being caught by the authorities or being caught by somebody for doing something. Accountability is the outcome of the decision that you make. She made a decision out of anger to have sex with somebody, right? By her having sex with this person, right? In that way, under those circumstances, not knowing what's going on, right? A whole lot of dominoes begin to fall. Begin to fall. The decision she made created an outcome that would affect her for the rest of her life, whether anybody else knew. It wasn't about her going to jail. It wasn't about her telling anybody or everybody her business. The outcome, the things, the consequences that came with that decision that she made that night in the backseat of that car were heavier than her going to jail or going to prison or her fiance finding out. All of that was heavier than anything that could happen to her if a person did something and went to prison. See, because a lot of people think that if you don't get caught, then it's okay. No, it's not. You don't have to get caught to be held accountable because there's a power higher and greater than the courts that holds us all accountable. And that's the point that you need to remember. We all are held accountable no matter what. No matter what. Because the consequences of every decision you make is what accountability is really about. the consequences that come from that. You do something that's not virtuous, guess what happens? Something non-virtuous is going to happen. You do something that's virtuous, guess what happens? Something virtuous will happen for you. Remember that. Remember that, y'all. Now look, y'all check out my book, Rivals. It's in the description portion of this episode. And I'm going to keep on saying it until it comes out. My movie's coming out, y'all. Rivals, the anime, it's coming. Check that out. This has been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker. And I say peace, y'all.